I hear the sounds of your heartbeat. I can hear it now. I can hear it now. I hear the sounds. I can hear it.
All right, you guys, if I can have it my way, definitely I would take a quarterback in this draft. I definitely think that this is something that the Lions have to consider. The name of this video is called Against All Odds, and we're going to revisit and talk about Skylar Thompson on the day. I definitely think that he's a hidden gem in this draft. As you know, if you check the archives of my videos, I've talked about Skylar Thompson and pretty much put him out there to a lot of fans in Detroit that didn't really know anything about Skylar Thompson. But definitely, man, he is one of my favorite guys in this draft. I just think that he possesses the skill set that the Detroit Lions definitely need to take a look at. He is a dual threat quarterback. He's not looking to run all the time. He's just looking to extend plays and make plays out there. He can pretty much make every NFL throw, and he will also be in the combine. So I'm definitely hoping in the combine that he would show up and show out and really show the scouts that he has what it takes to be a quarterback in the NFL, whether it be a starter or even being a guy that is a backup quarterback. He deserves to get a shot in the NFL. I love this dude. I love his attitude towards the game. I love that he works on his craft. I love the fact that he has just been a definitely a juggernaut for Kansas State for the last 5 years. And we're just going to talk about his career stats. Now, when it comes to passing, at Kansas State, he has over 7,124 yards passing. Pass completion percentage is 62.4. He has thrown 16 career interceptions. He has 42 touchdown passes. He has rushed over 1,087 yards with 26 touchdowns on the ground. That is quite an impressive resume. Definitely, man, I think that this dude is something that the Lions need to consider and put him on the big board. Now, I don't know if the Lions will decide to take a quarterback in this draft, but we got to talk about the position because it's one of the most important positions on the team, the quarterback position, because the quarterback, you know, I'm not saying that, you know, I know the Detroit Lions fans are looking at it saying we want our franchise quarterback to be the guy that sits behind Jared Goff, but sometimes you just got to do what you got to do to upgrade the position. Now, the Lions could decide to go in free agency and grab a free agent quarterback, or they can decide to either bring Tim Boyle or David Blah back, or they can decide to draft a young fella like Skylar Thompson in the draft if they so choose or desire. But if you work for the Detroit Lions or, you know, you make content on the Detroit Lions, definitely, guys, take a look at Skylar Thompson, man, because this dude offers something that I think that is really, really good. Everything that he brings to the table is something that I think that the Detroit Lions can use. And he's one of those type of quarterbacks that is a guy that's going to work hard. He's probably one of those dudes that's going to come in early and stay late and do whatever it takes to be a quarterback in the National Football League. Now, in 2022, I believe that the Lions should replace the quarterbacks that they have in Tim Boyle and David Blah. Now, would the Lions do it? We don't know yet. When the draft happens and the Lions are on the board and they're making their selections and they make all 10 of their picks, and if they happen to come out of this draft class with Skylar Thompson, man, I would be so happy, man, to be able to get a guy like him, because I know that he would be an upgrade over Tim Boyle or David Blah. Not saying that Tim Boyle, because he does have a great arm, but I just don't think that he's the ideal guy for us at the backup position. I think that ultimately they don't really trust in David Blah, because if so, they would have allowed him to start instead of Tim Boyle. But I think the reason why the Lions gave Tim Boyle the shot is because they wanted to see what he can actually do out on the field. He didn't have too much body work out there. He was with the Green Bay Packers for a minute, and he really didn't, you know, have too many stats out there. So maybe they was just trying to be able to see how he would perform on a high level if he was given the opportunity to start. So I think that that's the reason why they just bypassed David Blau and didn't give him the opportunity to start this season when Jared Goff was either injured or he was out on COVID-19. So pretty much Tim Boyle ended up getting the shot and the opportunity. He made the most of it, but at the same time, it wasn't as impressive as you thought that it probably should have been. But at the same time, it's a backup quarterback position, and it is what it is. But when it comes to getting young, I think that that's the way that the Detroit Lions should go. They should go with a younger guy, and I think that Skylar Thompson would be a great fit with the Detroit Lions. Now, that there's other teams that he could be drafted to, and he may not even be a Detroit Lion. But I just want to get this out there for the record that I think that this guy has what it takes to be an NFL quarterback. And I think that the Detroit Lions would do themselves a favor, man, by just taking a look at this kid, watching what he can do at the combine, and seeing if he would be a guy that they would take in the later rounds. Definitely the skill set is there, and I want to see Detroit get better. And I know you do too as well.
Hey everyone, it is Fitz with a daily delivery. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing as well as Skylar Thompson, who might be nearing his dream of getting a shot at the NFL. Over the weekend, Thompson participated in the Shrine Bowl. Russ Yeast also played representing K-State. Now, don't confuse this with the Senior Bowl, kind of the big game, but the Shrine Bowl is a really nice opportunity for other players to show off their stuff, for NFL scouts, not just in the game, but the entire week leading up to it. And Thompson did really well in the testing, including he had the highest spin rate on his passes, which is a nice little measurement the NFL likes. The NFL likes a lot of weird stuff, but they probably like this. Skylar went 6 of 9 for 76 yards, threw a nice touchdown pass. His highlights are impressive. From all accounts, Skylar Thompson helped himself quite a bit in the Shrine Bowl, and good for him. A lot of us have wondered, is he an NFL quarterback? And honestly, I've always come to the conclusion that I just don't know. I've seen glimpses of him, and certainly how he finished off this season would point in that direction, that maybe he is a potential NFL guy. Now, do I think he's a starting quarterback at the next level? Probably not, at least not at this point of his career. I think he's going to have to go in, pay a lot of dues, get onto some practice squads maybe, and earn his way up, and then honestly just get a break. But what Skylar Thompson is an incredibly smart, gifted quarterback at a different types of offenses. He can stay in the pocket and throw, or he can get out there and run, which might make him an ideal backup for a lot of teams out there that need someone that can come in on a moment's notice and get the job done. That's all a backup does in the league, and I tell you what, there's some really, really good young quarterbacks all around the NFL right now. But what happens to all of those teams, Chiefs included, if the quarterback goes down? Do they have someone that can step in at a moment's notice and shine? Thompson might just be that type of player. Now, it's going to come down to how he tests out and does in combines or any other types of times that he gets in front of scouts, whether or not he can sneak into one of the later rounds of the draft. In all likelihood, he's going to be a free agent, which is probably pretty good. He can pick his fight. He can pick his location. But I got to say it, Skylar Thompson really showed all of us something in this All-Star game. What happened in the Texas Bowl wasn't just an upside to his long career at K-State. It maybe was a sign that he has taken the next step in his career, and that could set him up to take a couple more in the NFL.
John Kurtz back with you here on The Game. I am joined right now by Jim Nagy, who is the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. And recently, we talked about it on the show yesterday, but plenty, I'm sure, have also seen the tweet that he had about Skylar Thompson, indicating that Thompson had a really nice week or nice weekend at the Manning passing camp this past weekend, and that there's a lot of draftable tape for Skylar Thompson, which has raised the debate, how draftable of a prospect is Skylar. And I appreciate, Jim, you making the time for me here. How about we'll just start there. What did you see from Skylar at the Manning camp, and what really pops off the page about him to you?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me personally was getting in front of him and getting to meet Skylar for the first time. We've been watching him here for a couple of years now. That's what's made the preparation for the 2022 Senior Bowl a little easier is, we looked at a lot of these guys last fall, so we're going to have 2 full years of evals in on them, and ready to go. So it was great meeting him. He's a big, put-together guy, which was great to see. And he showed me a scar from his surgery, and actually got to go outside and then watch him throw it around. And obviously he's not, to me, he didn't look like he was feeling any ill effects from that surgery. It looked like he's looks like he's back. His arm was live. Really's got power behind his arm. That was one of the first things I pulled in this out. And, one of the guys that helps run the Manning camp, I asked him, like, who looked good yesterday? And he's like, yeah, Skylar Thompson at Kansas State really threw it well. So, he threw it with good velocity, and it was good to see. I mean, that's one of the difficult things sometimes from tape. You doing a tape eval is that arm strength or quarterbacks, sometimes you really need to see those guys throw live. So it was good to check that box and see him throw. And like I told him, we'll have a couple guys on our staff. We hired a couple guys on our scouting staff that live within driving range of Kansas State and in Big 12 country. So we'll see him play a bunch this fall.
It's interesting you bring that up about the arm because I watch him. It seems like he has a good arm. I don't know that I would have said, like, hey, that's an NFL arm for sure. Did you have that same kind of feeling watching him on tape before you actually saw it in person?
No, I didn't. I didn't question the arm. I just didn't know, to what degree it was definitely good enough. I questioned it with a lot of other guys I've seen in this year's class. I didn't question it with Skylar. To me, there's so much to like about his game. Just the competitor, the toughness. I love his pocket feel. That's really where he stands out differently from a lot of guys being talked about. Above him in this year's draft, there's a lot of names out there right now that people are projected in the first round, and really probably, it's a little reckless in my opinion. Like I'm not a big fan of going out and putting a bunch of guys in the first round before they play their final years. Just because, again, I start watching the tape on those guys, and I'm like, wow, they're not even close to first rounders. And you read some of what's on social media and the internet, and they've got some of these guys in the top 10. I think it's kind of nature of pushing quarterbacks up in the process, and and again for social media reasons, it gets a lot of clicks, right? You post anything on a quarterback, and it gets traction. So I think that's why a lot of people do it, but it's just not right for the quarterback. So. But just comparing Skylar to some of those bigger names that a lot of your listeners will probably know about, he's right up there talent-wise with a lot of those guys.
Yeah, and I'm talking right now with Jim Nagy, who's the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. How much does that help him, that it feels like, from the outside looking in, this is a weaker quarterback class, at least as of right now? I mean, we'll see what it looks like by the end of the college football season, but how much does the class help him and his chances?
Yeah, I mean, it helps anyone if you have a little weaker class. Again, but there's a lot of football to be played. There's going to be guys that jump up. I mean, we had the last couple of summers. 2 years ago, we had Joe Burrow in the third round. In the summer going into his senior year, last year we had Mac Jones in the third round. And those guys obviously made a huge jump. And we look forward to some of those guys. But with Skylar, I think the thing that hurts him a little bit is the stats. A lot of people that aren't, true football evaluators, guys that have, a background in the NFL, they want to go to the stats first and look at that. And those aren't going to jump off the page with Skylar. He's playing in a pro-style system. Our guy Deuce was toting the football last year and doing a great job for him on the ground. So, he doesn't have those gaudy, 40 touchdown numbers that a lot of these guys have. But what he does have is experience in a pro-style system that's proven. You look at the guys that came before him in that system, Easton Stick and Carson Wentz. I mean, those guys are playing in the NFL, and there's a lot of carryover there, and the NFL puts a lot of emphasis on that. And you can see that in Skylar's game and what he's asked to do pre-snap. There's a lot on his plate. Without even talking to him, you can just see with the way he has to direct traffic and get guys set and all the motions shifting. He's running an NFL system. So when it comes down to it next April, those things all will work in his favor and really outweigh anything statistically that he might not have.
I'm glad you bring that up about Chris Kleiman's history with the quarterbacks there. And if you even want to include Trey Lance, I mean, he did recruit Trey Lance and worked with him, I believe, for a year before he left here for K-State. How much does that help if you're a coach, if you're playing for a coach that has had that recent pedigree of quarterbacks going to the NFL?
Yeah, it certainly does. If I was, if my son were a quarterback coming out of high school right now, I mean, that'd be one of the first schools I looked at because they're doing NFL carryover stuff. I think the goal for all these guys is to play at the next level. When they're coming out of high school, they all have those dreams. And again, I would be looking at a place where, if I were a father, I'd be looking for a place where my son could go in and develop a transferable skill set. That's why you see a lot of these high draft quarterback guys don't pan out, because you go back to their college tape and they're not being asked to do anything they're asked to do at the NFL level in terms of reading coverage and doing a lot of things pre-snap that Skylar's been asked to do.
Jim Nagy is talking with me. He's the executive director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. Question that I do have about Skylar is that he's been around, I mean, it feels like forever here in Manhattan. Sixth-year senior. He's going to be almost 25. He'll be 2 months shy of 25 by the time the draft rolls around. And I've always heard, K-State had a receiver, Byron Pringle, who left early in part because he was 25 and felt like the clock was ticking on his NFL career. At quarterback, does the age work against you if you are starting to get up in age like Skylar is?
Yeah, that will for sure be something that's talked about. And we'll factor it in for the Senior Bowl as well. Our goal is to get all our guys drafted. So, that's going to be a consideration. I think at the quarterback position, probably less so than you brought up Pringle, less so than a wide receiver. I mean, ideally you're drafting wideouts that are, 21, 22 years old. So, probably not as much, but with all these guys, all these super seniors that chose to come back for a fifth or sixth, or there's even a couple guys on our board that are like seventh-year guys. It's that the age factor is always going to be part of the conversation when you get into draft rooms, come next February, March.
Again, Jim Nagy is talking with me, Executive Director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. So what do you feel like right now is a reasonable ceiling for where Skylar could climb as far as his draft status goes?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the question. I really do. I like staying away from that. That's not my job to put ceilings on guys. We're just going to evaluate them. I'm being a director of the Reese's Senior Bowl. I mean, again, even when I work for ESPN, I got to be careful. That's not my job to put any limits on any of these players right now. We're just going to evaluate him. Hope he has a great year. That's what I told all these guys at the SEC media days I've been at the last couple of days. It's just, go out and have fun, have a great senior year, and let the chips fall. That's all these guys can do. Don't get preoccupied with what's on social media or the internet or what guys are talking about you on TV. Just go out and have fun with your teammates, and whatever happens, happens. And that's how we're going to treat all these guys. And again, we look forward to seeing Skylar play because in terms of this year's quarterback class, he might not be like a common name for most people if you follow a lot of the draft stuff, but. When you actually look at the tape and look at these guys, he's right there. He's right there for our game for the Senior Bowl. He's in a really good spot on the board right now.
Totally fair. One thing I should have asked earlier that I just thought of, as far as things that can help improve his stock, maybe a different way to reframe that question. Like where can Skylar improve or just show more consistency to help up his stock this year?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just staying healthy, putting the full season out there. And playing his style and staying healthy through it because he does. I mean, you look at him, I think what he's doing. He has like 22 rushing touchdowns in his career.
Yep.
Some of that nature. I was rewatching the Oklahoma game a couple nights ago, and they get in goal line, and now I know why they run him. I mean, he runs like a fullback when he gets to the goal line. So just stay healthy. Keep making good decisions, taking care of the football, and helping his team win. That's going to be the biggest thing. There's not. He's in a position. That's why at Kansas State, those wins against Oklahoma mean a lot. So to really, lift your program, I don't think we talk enough about these days that we used to about guys elevating the program and elevating the guys around them. And I think the NFL still sees that as a really important piece to playing quarterback is making the guys better around you. So, maybe pull off a big win, couple big wins, unexpected wins that people don't think K-State can grab this year. Maybe go get a couple of those. That'll help.
Awesome. Well, Jim, really appreciate you making some time for me. We'll keep our eye on everything here. And, hey, if Skylar winds up making it there, maybe we'll talk again soon at the end of the football season.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Emory Hunt, the czar of the Playbook Hero football game plan at the 2022 East-West Shrine Bowl in Las Vegas, Nevada. Still feels weird saying that after being in St. Pete for so long, but I'm here with Skylar Thompson, the outstanding quarterback from Kansas City. I appreciate you taking time, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Big fan of your game, man. I thought last season, the 2020 season, you're going to come out. I was like, this is a guy that no one's talking about that can ball. I love his game. Come back. I know the injury played a lot into that, but why did you come back, and what did you feel like you still had left to prove out there on the field?
Yeah, well, I felt like before I got hurt in 2020 that I was really starting to showcase that I could play at the NFL level. I worked really hard in that previous offseason of making throws in the pocket, keep my feet underneath me, getting in my third and fourth reads, just really growing in that part of the passing game. And really felt like it was showcasing. My work was paying off, and then I got hurt. So, everything kind of got put on hold there for a little bit, and just I had some time to, think about what had happened and process everything, and I took the time to do that. But I still felt like there was just so much left in the tank, and areas that I could still continue to get better at and provide for Kansas State. And ultimately, I wanted to go out on a high note. I'm a competitive kid and I'm a competitor, and I didn't want to end my career at K-State like that. So I was excited to have the opportunity to come back for another year. I had some great teammates that made the same decision as I did to use that COVID year. So it was a great situation. It was a lot of fun, and was able to finish this year on a high note versus LSU in our bowl game.
Hey, you guys, as a former University of Louisiana Raging Cajun, this is exciting for me to say. You guys beat the brakes off LSU, so I love that you guys did that. But in all seriousness, Skylar, watching you play, and the reason why I enjoy doing so, because I'm constantly banging the drum for saying that not everyone has to play the position the same way. And when I was studying your tape in 2019, going into 2020, I'm like, dude moves the football, moves the chains. He's a chain mover. By any means necessary. They find first downs, they find the end zone. And your style, kind of lends to that. Do you feel as though you can play freely like that? And it shows people that may be skeptical that, hey, I don't have to be 1, 2, 3, get the ball out. I can be 1, 2, 3, okay, nobody's open, let me find a first down, or break contain. How do you feel about your style of play as it pertains to how people think the quarterback should be played?
Yes, that's a great question. I think that there's a lot of value, and obviously standing in the pocket and going through progressions, going through your reads, but there's a lot of good football players out there, especially on the defensive side, defensive line guys that weigh 300 pounds running just as fast as me nowadays, so having the ability when things break down to be able to use your legs and make plays. The overall mission of every offense is to get first downs and move the chains, and especially in our offense at K-State, that was our modem that we lived off of, and day one install, we talk about moving the chains, taking care of the football, doing those types of things. You do those things, you're going to put yourself in position to win. And so that was my values in playing the position, and just understanding that I can make plays with my arm, I can make plays with my legs, whatever the case may be, whatever the defense is giving me, I'm going to do it and get a first down and make a play. So there's no set way of this is how you play quarterback. Everybody's different. Everybody has different playing styles, different strengths, different weaknesses. It's just being able to really focus in on what you're really good at, what your strengths are, and making the most out of that.
And it's fascinating because, when you watch someone have success, why would you want to change how that person is having success? And the fact that you played a lot of games at K-State kind of gives you a little bit more perspective. What would you say is the biggest thing you learned from the time you got in as a freshman to where you are now?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing that I've learned is patience. And that is probably, people hear me say that, I'm like, what are you talking about? You started 40 games. What are you talking about patience? But I've faced injuries. There's been times where I've not been able to be out there with my team, and it has killed me, but in the process of recovering from an injury, it takes patience. It takes a great perspective of understanding the situation that you're in and finding ways to get better in every situation possible. And through those times of being injured and doing rehab, I was really forced to be patient with the process. There was days where I wasn't seeing a lot of progress, or I wasn't feeling a lot of progress, but I had to be patient and keep trusting what I was doing, trusting trainers, trusting people around me, and then trusting myself. That example I'm using my injuries, but there's so many times throughout my career where things just weren't going the way that I was planning them to go, and that is completely fine. It's part of the process, but understanding how to be patient in those times, trust your work, trust what you're doing, and doing that, the results will come. It just may not be when you want them to. You never know when that time may come. You never know when your time's going to come. So just being prepared for everything and being patient through the process.
Help me settle a debate, because this is a serious question. Like, this is like top secret critical stuff, right? Is people want to know this. From your perspective as a quarterback, leader of the football team, a guy that has to know everything, who's worse? The running back that misses his assignment on blitz pickup, or the receiver that comes back to the huddle saying, I was open? Which one of those guys are worse? And why is it receiver?
Receiver. Receiver. There's not a worse feeling than a receiver being wide open and you miss it. It's something that haunts every quarterback, but especially, I mean, there's times where that has happened to me firsthand, but there's also times where I've had really good teammates that don't say anything but understand, you know, and I see it myself on film and I'm like, gosh, like that was a touchdown, you know. But there's also just in the flow of games, flow of game plans and like what we're anticipating throughout the week. Like, it's not always, you know, the defense is game planning well. Like, they have a plan too. So we have a progression, we have a defensive recognition, and off those things determine what I'm going to do. And sometimes you're wrong, you know, and that's just part of playing our position. But you definitely want to be right more times than wrong. But it's part of it, though.
No, I'm glad you brought that up, because the serious question I was going to ask is this. Break this statement down for me, because this is something I find myself saying to folks that always want to critique the quarterback position. Just because you're in a route doesn't mean you're in a progression. What does that mean to you?
So you said just because you're not in a route.
Just because you are in a route.
Yes. So, yes, 100%. There's times almost in every play that there's going to be a guy that most likely isn't getting the football. But him doing his job 100 miles an hour, giving full effort, is going to make somebody else open. And there's times where that they're not part of the progression. Sometimes that's the guy that's open, you know, and those are a little easier to live with, because it's like, you know, that's not the way I was taught, that's not the way I was coached, and you know, it just missed, you know, or the defense bust, you know, like there's just so many different factors that go into that type of stuff. But there's oftentimes a lot of times there's some type of a clear out route, especially with like a flood concept or anything like that. There's going to be something clearing everything out to help the read clear. So it's really important that even though they might not be in the progression, that they understand that they're still part of it. You know, like I say that would be the way that I would word that. You know, like even though you're not probably going to get the ball here, you're still part of the play. You know, maybe not part of the progression, but you're part of the play. So just having that mindset, I mean, it's hard for somebody that doesn't know football to understand that, and to a common fan of seeing somebody running wide open. But there's a lot that goes into it, for sure.
That's why I wanted to get you to say that, because sometimes people just don't understand. Like, not everything is designed for. Yeah, the quarterback may be looking toward that direction, but it's probably not his progression to go that way. But to end on this note, K-State is a special place. You know, how special of a program is Kansas State? Because I feel like you guys are, you know, one of those programs that people just don't talk enough about.
Yeah, well, it's a consistent program, and it's been a consistent program for a very long time. And I think, you know, it's an unbelievable college town, unbelievable university, and we pride ourselves on family. You know, that's the slogan of K-State. And, you know, when I was getting recruited going to K-State, and they're saying that I'm a very family-oriented person, it's very important to me, and that was a big reason why I went to K-State. I was like, you know, like they preach family, they treat each other like family. You know, I think this is a good fit for me. But I didn't realize, like, it wasn't just something they put up in the football complex, you know, that says family. Like, no, they really meant it. And the people out there, you know, students, coaches, fans, just people in the community, everybody is so nice, so involved. Everybody loves K-State football, and that's what makes K-State what it is. And the football background and the transition of the Coach Snyder era and what he brought to the university, it sparked our entire university to where, you know, our entire athletics program is very solid and does really well. So on a consistent basis, I mean, I would like to say that any team knows whenever they play K-State, you're going to play a team that's very well coached, disciplined, plays hard, and has fun. You know, and that's something that I've taken away from being a K-Stater for 6 years, and the values and lessons that program and universities taught me will carry with me for the rest of my life.
Listen, man, it's been a pleasure to get to know you for a little bit. I'm a big fan of your game and what you bring to the table. I can't wait to see you out there on the field this week and watch you progress moving forward, man.